A while ago I watched a video by Numberphile on something called Sandpiles, so I decided to create my own version of Sandpiles in a spreadsheet. If you haven't seen the Numberphile video, I recommend watching it first to get a better explanation of what Sandpiles are. You can find a link to that video in the description below. In this video I will give you a quick demonstration of my spreadsheet, and if you want a copy of the spreadsheet then please drop me an email, which you can also find in the description. So first I'm going to show you this sandpit mode. So what you have on the left hand side is an 11 by 11 grid, and what you can do is add to the sand pile. So if I click on the grid, it gets darker. The darker the colour, the bigger the pile. And what will happen is when it reaches a certain height, it topples over. Let me show you that again. It topples over into these spaces. And you can see I'm currently in topple type classic. And what that means is when the pile gets to 4, it topples over into the orthogonally adjacent cells. There's other types as well. So if I put on diagonal type, I can put this back to all equaling 1, and I can add a pile here. And this time it will topple over into the diagonally adjacent spaces. The final topple type is all 8. And what that allows me to do, let me set that to 6, is when I make a pile greater than 7, it will topple over into all neighbouring cells. So it's currently on 6, 7, 8, and it topples over. And you can see it will just keep running until all piles are lower than 8. So you can have a bit of fun just building piles and seeing how that then topples over into the rest of the sandpit. Alternatively, you can set this real-time option to off, and that way you can actually build multiple piles and topple them all at once by clicking Run Topple. Let me show you how that works. I'll load one I built earlier, and I'm going to show you in classic mode. I can just click Run Topple, and it runs it all at once. I could do the same with the diagonal topple type. And I can do the same with the all 8 topple type. Now this one, when I click Run Topple, nothing happens, and that's because these aren't high enough yet, because it requires a higher pile for it to topple over. So I will just add 1 to all of the squares until they are big enough. That should do it. Run Topple. So that's the sandpit mode. The other mode is more similar to the Numberphile video, so again, check that out if you haven't. This mode is where you can add 2 piles together. So I can edit Sandpile 1 and Sandpile 2. So for example, maybe I make these view piles 1, and here I can do 1 and 2. And when I click Add Piles, what that has done is it's taken the upper left one and added them together. So 1 plus 1 is 2, and then it's done that for every single pile. So 1 plus 2 is 3, and then 1 plus 0 is 1. Then the rest of them are 0 because there's no grains of sand there. However, if the piles go over the topple limit, it will topple as normal. So for example, if I change that one to 2 and I add them together, it's now toppled over. And you can make much more interesting ones than this. So for example, let's do a nice diagonal in Sandpile 1, and in Sandpile 2 I will do a few squares. And now I can click Add Piles, and you can see the resulting pile topples until it gets to a stage where none of the piles are greater than 3. I can also change the topple type here, so I can put it in diagonal instead of the classic mode and see how that differs. And I can also do all 8, but of course I will need to increase these a bit to actually get something toppling. And there you have it. That is the Sandpile spreadsheet. If you want a copy of this spreadsheet, or if you have any other questions, then please drop me an email. You can find my email address in the description of this video. Thanks for watching.